This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Hello and welcome to All Indians Matter. I am Ashraf Engineer. We find ourselves at a tipping point as artificial intelligence or AI rapidly transforms how organizations and people like you and me conduct business, interact with governments, and even do their jobs. AI technologies are reshaping industries and enhancing efficiencies. However, as AI becomes ubiquitous, it also raises privacy concerns. India faces unique data protection challenges, and a primary issue is the scale of data generation. With more than 700 million internet users, India generates vast amounts of personal data every day, which makes for a lucrative target for cybercriminals. Data breaches remain a significant threat, and we hear of them on a regular basis. Even large organizations with sophisticated security systems in place are vulnerable. Such breaches erode trust. Lack of awareness compounds these issues, and many, particularly in rural areas, are unaware of digital privacy risks. This can lead to inadvertent data sharing and greater vulnerability to AI-driven scams and phishing attempts.
All Indians Matter.
We have on the show Levis Wilson, a director of Estontec Group. Through Halucom, Levis is pioneering a hybrid source model that delivers premium tools to businesses and contact centers. The company is leading AI-driven contact centers or agentless contact center solutions. Levis is passionate about using technology for societal benefit, and he is an expert in technology and strategic management. Levis, welcome.
Thank you, Ashraf, for having me today. It's always a pleasure. I've been listening to your over Spotify. I've been listening to multiple episodes, and I can see that the content really means when you say all Indians matter. Today, once again, we are meeting today on AI, an area which needs a lot of literacy and a lot of knowledge today into the industry. So, well, thank you for having me today.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you, Levis. And since you mentioned that, industry and so on, Levis, could you give us a sense of how AI use is growing in our everyday lives?
No, let's say, you and me are we are having a chat, and today, right now, we are talking about a Nike shoe. A white color Nike shoe is something that we are talking right now. And we're done with this meeting, and the next thing that when you open your phone, you start seeing Instagram, push of Nike shoes. You go to Flipkart, all of a sudden, you have Nike shoes. Forget about it. You just are on your browser, and you move from one browser to the other browser. You start seeing Nike shoes being pushed. So this is where the privacy comes into play, which most probably we will discuss as we scale further. But then I think anything that we do and everything that we speak is somehow being captured, or our whole what we call a bias. Your decision taking. So naturally, we might just be speaking about shoes. But because shoe ads are thrown of Nike, you end up buying a Nike shoe. You might just talk about, buying a phone or go for a holiday. And the next thing that you know is, you have a Bali or a Maldives package being shown across wherever you go. And then over a period of time, when you go back, reach home, by the time you have seen this and your wife asks, hey, where are we going for the holiday? Hey, let's go to Maldives because I have already seen it 5 times in the last 30 minutes, right? So it's registered. So we call it a kind of a bias to say that these factors today in the digital space, in the AI space, in our day-to-day life, it's so much into us that technically I would say that it's them controlling us, our thoughts, which gets materialized into action. And surely it is also benefiting a lot of brands and companies. So I think that is their, penetration into our everyday lives is just the easiest of example I could give.
Yeah, and it's quite spooky actually what you mentioned. A lot of us talk about it, right? We had a conversation about something, or we searched for something, and next thing you know, you're bombarded with ads. And but we'll talk more about where the line between convenience and privacy blurs. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, I wanted to ask you, Levis, when it comes to critical sectors like banking and also access to government services, how is AI being deployed?
Okay, so let's for a second imagine a world where the institutions understands our needs better than we ourselves, understand us. Now, many of the times we have seen, if you go back before the boats came into play, let's rewind back ourselves to 10 years back. Even to get anything done with let's say a government bank or even a government office, whether it is your PF to some healthcare benefits to anything, it was a nightmare, right? You have to think, oh, if I have to go to a nationalized bank and rather I go to a private bank, things could be much easier. But I think things have started changing today. You can imagine, let's take an example of a farmer who is in some remote part of an Indian village. He wants to know the details about his bank account, maybe how much is the balance, or has there been a credit into their account, or what is the status. Now, not everybody will have the literacy to go into a mobile and then go to a website and then, input your details and then, get the output done. And then the output might be in English, may not be in your local language. So you have these problems. Now, technically, a product like an AI, let's say a voice bot, would actually be, making their lives much more easier. So the farmer who is in this remote village, all he has to do is dial this number, and then all that, he might be speaking Bhojpuri. And on the other side, the voice bot understands that it's a Bhojpuri and immediately, adapts the himself or the bot itself into a Bhojpuri language and interacts and gives all the information, not just banking information, but also weather conditions or the soil details, right? So sitting at one place, because the mobile penetration is huge, especially in countries like India and China, with the kind of population that we have. So all they have to do is dial this number and get to know all these details. So this is where one of our product, which we call the voice bot, we call it as an AI gent. So how you have agent, which is human like you and me, there is AI gent, which is nothing but it's an AI powered a bot, which tries to do everything which normally an agent would do.
I think what we are saying is that it can actually transform the lives of even those who are not digitally literate.
Exactly.
Right. So let me come back to the point that we were talking about earlier about the line between convenience and privacy. Now, the intersection of AI and data privacy creates complex challenges. That's a given. Since AI thrives on data, the more it has, the better it performs. This often conflicts with privacy principles. Could you talk us through that?
So, Ashraf, are you aware about this recent Apple update incident where people had deleted their photographs and then it mysteriously reappeared out of nowhere after the update? Are you aware about it?
No, not this particular one.
So this was bizarre. I mean, so this happened recently. You can just Google it and find out. It is also mentioned that this is actually a stark reminder that our data is not truly gone. So when we are on the phone, we go ahead and delete 5 images. Okay, you delete it from the trash also, and you tend to think that the data is gone. But the data isn't gone, because if you look at this example, if the data would have gone already from an Apple device, how did it mysteriously reappear, right? So it is just a notion that people have that once you delete it from your device, it's deleted. Somewhere in the cloud, the data is being stored. It's always vulnerable to unseen forces. Now, the notion of entrusting sensitive content to cloud storage, a common practice, raises significant privacy concerns. That's what I normally feel. Now, if you look at even the Microsoft Copilot, it actually captures the screenshot of your chat screen without your explicit knowledge. Of course, they are using it for their development purpose, enhancing their product, and maybe they are coming up with or they already have their development around the LLM, the large language model. But now Microsoft and Apple is partnering with each other to integrate their AI services. So now it further highlights the growing intersection of technology and privacy. Right? So data is the lifeline of AI. Without data, wherever any development happens around the world, data is the key. So, but then how do we? The more the data, the machine gets better. So, if you typically understand the different stages of AI, it starts with what we call ANI. That's the first stage. That's artificial narrow intelligence. So in artificial narrow intelligence, the human and the bot, the human is superior than the bot. That's level 1. Then the bot gets trained with a lot of data and things like that. And that's when you move to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. In AGI, the human and the bot are at the same level. They both are equally good. They both can equally do things. And then you have what you call the ASI, which is the artificial super intelligence, which is where the machine learning happens at a huge speed. Now, in AGI, in ASI, which is the artificial super intelligence, the machine is far more superior than a human, which means the machine can do things at a certain level of efficiency and output, which a human cannot. Right? So how does a machine moves from ANI to AGI and go up to ASI is with data.
That's a lot of our personal data being consumed by AI models and so on. But say people like you and me tend to be slightly more digitally literate. We can opt in, opt out, stuff like that. But in a situation where digital literacy is low, while digital usage is high, actually digital awareness and literacy is low. But that makes it particularly tricky, doesn't it?
It is. But then if you look at the Indian the Indian industry has always been very adoptive. Our mobile penetration, for example, or our 4G penetration, one of the best in the globe, considering our population as well. So now, for example, AI is being promoted at a very high level by the government itself. So usually, what happens is private companies like us, no matter how much we could try to create an awareness and literacy around this space, it has certain limitation. But somebody like the Indian government itself brings in a lot of initiatives, and we see a lot of initiatives happening in the last 3-4 years by the Indian government into this space. And this space, and therefore the penetration is also far better than what we would see otherwise. So I have reasons to believe, and see, for example, I gave you the example of the farmer in a remote village making a call and speaking in Bhojpuri. I mean, the farmer doesn't even know that there is an AI right behind. It doesn't even know that there is a human or there is an agent or an AI agent speaking. Right? All it matters is making lives easier. So there is awareness requirement for people who are building these applications over AI, and as a consumer, as a user, you are not aware what exactly is going on in the background, right? So therefore, I think it is a very important area that the AI literacy has to be there. And I feel that with the intervention of the Indian government into this space, I think that a lot will be taken care in itself.
Absolutely. Since you mentioned government, it's important to talk about regulation and the legal aspects of it. Now, the current legal landscape is a patchwork of regulations. With the Information Technology Act 2000 and the Digital Personal Data Protection Act serving as the primary legislations governing digital transactions and cybercrime. Do you think the legislation is is adequate? And if not, then what more is needed?
See, the existing framework was surely. We have to understand that we are not at a very matured phase of AI. We are still
Pretty
at
nascent.
a
Yeah.
very nascent stage. So and it is interesting to see that the government is also able to identify that, hey, it is important that we are able to come up with a legal framework at this stage itself, so that it lays as a stepping stone for for companies like us to build around it. So the existing legal framework is surely a valiant attempt to navigate this complex terrain of digital governance, but it has its own limitation, right? So, though these regulations provide a solid foundation, they may struggle to keep pace with the rapid change that is happening around this space. So, like always, we have seen this issue in the past in the digital revolution. I'm sure we would have seen this in the past in the industrial revolution or in the agriculture revolution, because everything is changing so fast. How do we ensure that the frameworks are also changed accordingly? Now, if you see the India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, they had come up with a new and a revised AI regulation, which actually highlighted the importance of transparency and user empowerment. So few of them were the main points were that it was lifting the requirement for the government permission to deploy AI models. That was number one. Number two, there was a requirement in transparency while labeling these models, these AI models. And of course, they also wanted to come up with measures to combat misinformation and deep fakes, etc. Now, the new advisory, it promotes self-regulation, which is very specific industry to industry, accountability, and transparency, while fostering innovation and protecting social interest also. Now, it marks as a new chapter, is what companies like us, we feel that it marks as a new chapter in the India's AI regulation. But I would still feel that we would need much more comprehensive, at the same time adaptable legal framework to ensure that it is in pace with the amount of innovations and the technological advancement that is happening. I mean, these are my few thoughts.
Absolutely. Now, Levis, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act mandates privacy by design principles, which impacts how our AI systems are developed and deployed. Now, the bill also introduces the concept of significant data fiduciaries, potentially subjecting AI companies handling large volumes of data to much more scrutiny. Could you talk us through these aspects? What do we mean by design principles? What do we mean by significant data fiduciaries, and so on? What does it mean for the average citizen?
See, you otherwise call it the DPDP Act. So this is actually a significant step towards safeguarding individual privacy in India. One of its key provisions is the mandate for privacy by design. So now in this, it requires the organization to integrate privacy considerations into every stage of product and service development. Now, this means that AI systems must be built with privacy in mind from the outset, rather than as an afterthought. Now, this is surely an important step, because usually innovators, when they are coming up with these kinds of products, they tend to not think about privacy or data privacy at the beginning stage. So, for example, for the average citizen, this translates into greater protection of their personal data. It ensures that the companies are accountable for protecting personal information, and that individuals have greater control over their data. But honestly, you have close to zero control over cloud-based storage. That is why we prefer to stay on-premise. For example, Halocom are the boards. We prefer it to be given to our clients on-premise, because again, you do not have control over the data which sits in the cloud. If I go back slightly, to discuss back again about the Apple incident that happened. Imagine if you are going to delete those photos, and those photos were sitting within your network and not in the cloud. You would have ensured that the data is deleted and nobody else have access to it. So these can handle. I mean, so like I said, AI has to handle data in huge volumes. Now, with this act, the companies are held to a higher standard of accountability. They are required to implement more robust data protection measures and are subject to stricter penalties in case of non-compliance. So I think this is surely an additional layer of protection for individuals' personal data. And if you look at our own AI-based voice bots, Hexa, we secure it with guardrails. So that the system prevents itself from behaving in a harmful or a totally unexpected way. This guardrails also can include, it can be rules, algorithm, or any other mechanism with which you can guide the AI system or its behavior to ensure that it safeguards the private data.
In fact,
so these are.
Yeah, like you said, private data extremely important. The individual's right to control his or her own data is extremely important, and the law that we've been discussing actually grants Indians the right to access their data, make corrections, even demand deletion of the data. In other words, the right to be forgotten. But this is technically complex, as you've also mentioned. Somebody deletes their photographs, but somewhere else again they pop up. How do you achieve this in AI systems?
So now, see, it requires careful consideration on how data is stored. That's number one. And then how it's processed. And then how it is used within the AI algorithm. Now, while it may not be, always be feasible to completely erase all individuals' data, but I think we should strive to minimize its retention and ensure that it is only used for legitimate purposes. Now, the onus of that surely lies with innovators who are coming up with products which are running on AI.
What do you think are the greatest threats to privacy in the near future?
Okay, so I think, there are, many options possible. But I think the future of AI and data privacy is fraught with potential threats. One of the biggest concern is the increasing sophistication of AI-powered surveillance systems. Now, these systems become more capable of tracking and analyzing our behavior. There is a risk of mass surveillance, and therefore our privacy goes for a toss. Now, additionally, the rise of deepfakes and other forms of synthetic media that could be used to spread misinformation and manipulate public opinion. So it is important that we absolutely stay ahead of these threats and build robust systems which protects our privacy, and that needs to be done at the very beginning stage of the development of such products, and not at a later stage, like I had mentioned it earlier also.
And how are businesses adapting to this rapidly transforming actually AI and data privacy regulatory landscape?
No, I think businesses are, increasingly recognizing the importance of data privacy, and they are taking proactive steps to comply with the evolving regulations. Even whenever we have the AI talks, the conference, this is one of the important area that innovators speak about. Now, this includes implementing a data governance framework, and then conducting regular audits, investing in data security technology, which maybe somebody who is building it for the first time will never think of. However, the rapidly changing regulatory landscape can be challenging to navigate is our thought. But businesses will have to adapt their strategies frequently, just like how we discussed some time back that the framework by the Indian government, it has to match up to the pace with which the innovations are coming out around AI space.
Is it tough to achieve a balance between ensuring evolution of a technology, a business's growth, and maintaining privacy?
It is not something which is impossible. It is possible if we are able to keep the frameworks in mind and then build the application. See, one thing we have to understand that at the end of the day, the AI machine, the systems, are built by an individual or a group of innovators or developers together. Now, it does. They always say, right? You and me as humans can tend to make an error. Machine never makes an error because it only makes an error if you tell them to make an error, right? Otherwise, they don't. So this is something which I'm sure is achievable only if we are able to, put in a framework in place, bring in guardrails in place, and then, if not today, at some point of time, we surely be able to, achieve the balance.
Levis, I also wanted to touch upon AI and children. Now, how can we ensure age-appropriate content and parental control in the age of AI?
See, I think that is actually a top priority in the digital age. Now, the AI-powered content filtering and parental control tools, which they can be enabled, that can play a vital role in ensuring that children are exposed to age-appropriate content. If you're in Bangalore, I think today's newspaper, if you would have seen, you would have seen an ad by Instagram as to how they have bought in certain tools and filtering mechanism to ensure that restrictive content is what is showcased to children. Now, it is important to recognize that these tools are not foolproof, right? So the parents have to remain vigilant. They have to actively involve in their children's online activities and not think that, okay, this is a foolproof. Somebody says that it's a foolproof AI tool, which will take care of it, but then and just leave it. That's not going to happen. I think as a parent, one needs to keep a track of the children's online activities, and then of course by promoting digital literacy, education, we can empower the parents and children to navigate this digital world safely. And if you have seen in the past, whenever there is a revolution, every time world has gone through such paradigm shifts. So it is just that this time it is the AI, revolution that we are seeing. But I think the fundamentals of what needs to be done or what happens during a revolution remains the same.
I think that's a very good point you made about digital literacy. How do we ensure a more digitally literate Indian, especially a rural Indian?
I know. See, in fact, you won't believe there are many companies who are doing innovations, just focusing on the rural, of India. Now, just recently, two 10th graders from a renowned school, they surprised us with their creation. It was a smart alert system to safeguard both humans and wildlife elephant, right? So, two 10th graders. So, I mean, you can't imagine to what extent everybody is talking about AI today, right? Now, do you remember the footage of Bill Gates witnessing the widespread adoption of UPI in rural India very recently?
I vaguely have a vague memory of it.
So see, he was actually mind blown. Now it's I think that itself is a clear indication of the Indian populace, the technology adaptation to the technological advancement. Our ability to quickly adapt and adopt new technology is what sets us apart. But yeah, we must prioritize ethical consideration to ensure that this this technological prowess is harnessed by a greater good. So I think investing in digital literacy programs is really very important to bridge the digital divide. And I also see a lot of schools, a lot of colleges, engineering colleges, they all bringing in, first year engineering graduates gets to, is asked to create a project, even, as small or big in AI and, in digital space. So I think with the affordable internet training programs and digital literacy initiatives, we can empower individuals across India.
So let us tell us about Halucom and its plans.
So the Halucom, when we look at the future, we have been into the space of unified communications, contact centers for the last 6 years. We have 100,000 plus users around the globe, 300 plus clients. But then when we look at the future of the customer support, the contact center space, we see that it is going to be agentless. And that is our thought behind coming up with what we coined as an AI gent, which is going to make a remarkable contribution into the contact center space, where these AI gents would be able to handle 70% of repetitive tasks. You would still need, the human to do the brighter part of it, the brainier part of it, and stuffs like that. But there is a 70% of tasks which can be automated within any organization. So we have already deployed a suite of about 6 models. We cater sectors like banking, finance, healthcare, travel, sales, marketing, and even HR. Now, these models are capable of handling over 17 languages on demand. They have proved for themselves at multiple occasions. And what is interesting is also that it can also adapt just like human. So, Ashraf, right now, you and me are speaking in English. Now, let's say the next statement you're going to make to me in Hindi, or let's say in Kannada or in Telugu, my bot can immediately respond back in the same language. So it's that adapt to the actual situations. So now our next ambitious goal is to refine these AI gens to recognize a wider Indian dialects. For example, certain words, the way it's pronounced in Bhojpuri or from Malayalam to Gujarati, the same word, the way it's pronounced is completely different. So a lot of our efforts are going in, training our machine around this space of Indian dialects, expanding their reach to sectors like farming, government services. Moreover, in response to the alarming rise in the harassment against women, we are committed to developing a one-tap counteraction feature. Leveraging the power of AI, this tool will provide swift and accurate support to vulnerable women, eliminating the risk of human error or clerical mistakes. This is an ambitious project which we have laid the stones, first steps into it. We have to wait and watch.
So, Levis, there's a question I ask all my guests at the end of the show, and which is, why do you do this work?
Okay, that's very interesting. So I think fundamentally, Ashraf, I truly believe that all of us have a purpose in this universe. Just like Ashraf has a purpose to bring in such important topics that matters to every Indian, and then trying to bring every Indian together, thereby doing your bit. I think similarly, we want to bring in, use AI, use technology to move the world forward. That's our primary, the kick that we get is not just by coming up with an innovation and, we got some 5 clients and 10 clients and, we got an award. And no, the question is, have we moved the world forward? Has your innovation created a positive impact? Has it made lives better? Has it bottom line, move the world forward. So that's the whole energy behind all that.
Levis, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time, Ashraf. So at any point of time, you can just log into halacom.com and, know more about us. You can try the voice boards yourself. You can interact with whatever language you want. And I think it can also surprise you a bit.
All Indians matter.